All right, this is my talk. Just to introduce myself, I'm Dan Kirkpatrick. If you don't know already, I'm in charge of the Houston meetup for Kubernetes here in Houston. So please come join us. But one of the first things I get asked every time new members come to the meetup is what is the toolchain that I use? I mean, it's open source, it's free, Kubernetes itself, and I tend to use an open source and free toolchain on top of it. And I've been running production clusters now for 3 years. So basically, a lot of people come in and they say, look, all these services, a lot of these enterprise tools, they're expensive. They can be really expensive. So here's some different options you can do to minimize. I'm going to focus on these ones in yellow, open source tools and alternatives to the for-pay services. I'm going to touch on service meshes, command line tools, tools for operators, and tools for developers. Let's see here. Covering everything from provisioning, monitoring, logging, backup, security. So first off, service mesh. A lot of people are like, what the heck is a service mesh? Basically, it's a proxy on every service, every application you run. All your communications to and from that application will go through the proxy. It gives you the ability to do observability, security, and really advanced routing. These are some of the main ones. I'm a big fan of Linkerd. Istio, I've had some issues with. I can talk to you afterwards. Superglue is an interesting one from a group of developers called Solo.io. I'm paying close attention to them, but Linkerd is my one of choice. For the command line tools, kubecontrol now has its kubecontrol or kubectl. But kubecontrol is got plugins now. So check out Crew, the plug control manager. Kubectl is super, super cool. Everybody should use it, and so is telepresence. If you haven't been using those, you should be. For provisioning, I like to go simple, easy. I like to keep it down to scripts. By and large, I'll use Terraform, which isn't up here. I prefer COPS over EKS on AWS, but really I prefer GKE. And Customize over Helm. Let's see here, logging, monitoring. Prometheus, Grafana, Weave, Scope, Jaeger, and for logging, if you want to go lightweight, I prefer Loki. Otherwise, if you have a complex setup, maybe Elasticsearch. And it cut off the bottom of my slide there, but that's also for service meshes, Istio. For security and backup, I could do a whole hour, maybe a whole day on this, but there's a whole slide of tools. Check my slides afterwards. They're all there. Check all the links. I can talk more about these later. But some of the neat ones out there are Vault for securing your keys and doing secure key management. Some commercial alternatives. These are the alternatives to the open source tools. If you want to get dip your toes in lightly, you can use these. Datadog is one to mention there. They do a great job of integrated logging, and they're also one of the sponsors, guys, here. Some tips. Here's some other tips I just use to operate my cluster. And again, I think this is a little too large, so it's cutting off the end of them. But we can talk about these later. Again, check the slides afterwards. For developers, now we're going to developers. GitLab is my choice because it covers a whole slew of things. And then if you have really complex CI/CD, check out Spinnaker for enterprise-grade stuff. But GitLab has also a Docker registry, and it also has a feature flag server. It's pretty cool. For APM, I'm a big Jaeger fan. Jaeger or Zipkin, they're both pretty similar. Telepresence is so cool. I can't say this enough. Check out telepresence. It's basically a reverse proxy and allows you to debug inside the cluster. I do a lot of data science and support a lot of data scientists. So that means Kubeflow, which is Jupyter Notebooks in the cloud, and Kafka for my streaming. Again, these are all open source. They're all free. It's fantastic. And I mentioned feature flags before. If you guys aren't using feature flags, check out Unleash. It is super cool. You can understand it in 30 minutes. You'll be a better developer for it. And out of the box, if you use GitLab, you have an Unleash toggle server. But Unleash toggle server isn't very heavyweight to run. Going back to service meshes for developers, this is where you can get into complex deployment strategies like blue-green deployments and canary deployments. All this is done through your service mesh. You can do stuff with layer 7 by inspecting even like what user is logged in and stuff like this. It's fantastic. Here's the commercial alternatives for each of these. And again, it cut off the bottom of them. But again, check the slides, download them after the talk. But this way you can tip your toe in if you don't want to go full hog and install your own stuff. Some developer tips. Customize over Helm. Helm's got a ton of problems. I'd be glad to enumerate them. Customize solves every one of them. And oh man, it's cutting off the liveness and readiness probes, guys. Use liveness and readiness probes and set resource limits and requests. Those two things will save you so many headaches, okay? In summary, guys, there's open source tools for all this stuff. You can do it all for free. You can do it as well as any of the big boys. And quite frankly, you can run an enterprise-grade cluster with no additional costs over the servers themselves. Contact me if you have any questions, and we can talk after the lightning talks about more for more. Thank you guys very much.